It's time for your Wednesday Wellness Wake Up with Dr. Sharon, brought to you by Napa Massage. Good morning, Dr. Sharon.
Good morning,
How
Kelly.
are you?
It's another great day to be alive in Napa Valley.
Absolutely.
Today I have with me San Francisco Bay Area filmmaker Saraswati Clere. She's the producer and director of the award-winning film Yoga Woman. Good morning.
Good morning. Great to have you here.
I was just really fascinated by Saraswati's desire to create this film. She has been the owner of 2 yoga studios, one in San Francisco and one in Berkeley, that attracts thousands of students doing yoga of all sorts.
Wow.
Yoga Kula, and I've had the pleasure of doing a workshop there, and it really is a lovely space. And Saraswati, I would just love for you to talk a little bit about why this film and why this film now.
Yeah.
Well, yoga really works. It is so powerful, and especially in times like these where there's so much stress and so much that we're dealing with, that yoga has always been a very powerful support in people's lives. And I started to hear about all these amazing women yoga teachers, and then found out that not so long ago women actually weren't teaching yoga. It was only men, and in fact yoga was designed for men's bodies.
What?
So
Don't people kind of think of yoga as a female thing?
Mm-hmm.
Now
20 million people doing yoga in the US, and 85% are women. So in the last 20 years, it switched over completely into a women-dominated area.
Wow.
And I found that very exciting. I call it a revolution, because women are taking it out into all kinds of different areas, like working with women with cancer, working in schools, working in prisons, and really changing the face of yoga.
Wow.
I was really amazed when I watched the film, and it is something we're going to talk about where those screenings are later, but it is so amazing to me how that transition happened. You know, there was all male teachers, and there was all these women that became interested and really almost forced themselves upon the male instructors to mentor them, and then poof, all of a sudden, here we go. Did you see that kind of evolution in your own studio, or in your own, did you have a long yoga practice where you were taught by men? Talk to us about that.
Yes, for me, I started in the Iyengar tradition many, many years ago, and when I started, all my teachers were men as well. And so I have noticed it happen. And in fact, up until not so long ago, when you go to the big Yoga Journal conference, mostly they were men. Mostly they were men who own the big lineages and different traditions. And it's sort of really just happened kind of quickly that all these women teachers are now starting to get more recognition. And a lot of it's for the altruistic work, not so much, my brand name.
You were talking about yoga works. What does it do?
What doesn't it do is the question that I have. Every day in my studio, there's people that stop me, men and women, and they say, "This has changed my life. This has made so much difference in my life. I've gone through so many different life challenges, and this is the place where I come, where I feel most at peace. I relax. I feel better in my body. I feel stronger. I'm able just to deal with life, both on a physical level, but also on an emotional level."
I think one of the misconceptions is that to do yoga, you have to be able to stand on your head or do a back bend or fold your feet behind your ears. And I think it keeps a certain amount of people away from that.
Yeah.
Because, tell us about, that misconception, because I know it's not true. And what do you find in your own yoga studios?
Well, I think this is where women have been clever and have brought it into working with different communities. There are some, yoga you can do just in a chair, or you can even be lying down doing yoga. There are so many different ways that it's taught therapeutically. There's a whole range of different ways to do yoga. And I think, it's become mainstream now. Just in the last 10 years, it's become so mainstream. And it's included in every gym practice.
Right.
So it's demystified, I think is the word. It's just become very acceptable and just the thing to be doing. I get stopped everywhere by the most unlikely people, and they say, "I hear it removes stress. I want it. Where can I come?" And so people are coming in droves, and I think with mainstream coming, those of us who own studios or teach yoga, we're shifting it too, so that it's very approachable for all kinds of different people.
Talk to us a little bit about the practitioners that are creating opportunities for people in cancer recovery to use yoga as part of their healing.
Yeah, there's a beautiful person highlighted in our film, Yoga Women. Her name is Tari Prinster. She got cancer several years ago and decided to start doing yoga. And then she now leads a whole curriculum of different yoga studies for cancer survivors in New York, which includes retreats. She takes them to the out into retreat centers and really helps them go through it. And she's so inspiring. I mean, I really hope people come to see the film, because you get to really understand how something like yoga can hold you through these really difficult times.
And I think the movie doesn't really focus on one particular stream of yoga. I mean, I think that what people don't always understand is that there's so many different orientations. So some are very much breath oriented, some are very much flow.
Oh, so when you say yoga, it really doesn't describe everything, right?
Yoga is a very wide, comprehensive tradition. 5,000 years old, and it includes all kinds of different things, and it can include the breathing, as you're saying. It also includes services is a way of doing yoga. Also contemplating how to live a better life, that's yoga as well. Plus all these other styles of yoga. As I said, there's yoga that happens in hospitals. There's yoga that's happening in prisons. It's just being taught in all these different ways.
What about this hot yoga, this Bikram yoga? That's really big now.
Yeah, it's a great way for people who want to really work out. I mean, it's like being at the gym, really. Right. We work extreme, different extreme yoga. I think it's better for younger folks who are very, very fit. I mean, some people really love that, and it works. And it's almost like, yes, as you say, it's like a different kind of restaurant. There's those people who like that sort of food or that sort of food. Right. So you have to test it out and see, what do I like? What suits, and it's to do with the teacher, too. It's a lot to do with your connection to the teacher.
That's true. I mean, I took yoga for just a couple of years. And the first time I tried yoga, I hated it. And I thought, I'm never doing this again. This is ridiculous. And then someone talked me into going to a totally different place with a different teacher, and I ended up doing it for 2 years because I loved it so much. And for me, it was de-stressing. It was about my anxiety level going way, way, way down and getting more grounded. But something that you mentioned, Sarah, was that it switched over to women. I mean, I think that's kind of sad because men need it too, right?
Oh yeah. No, it's not to say that men aren't doing it. The other percentage are also men who are doing it, and I think men are starting to come back to doing yoga. In fact, there's a men's conference happening in San Francisco. It's trying, really looking at how do we open the door more for men to come to yoga. I think there's more and more men starting to teach it in a way that encourages them to come. I think sometimes men feel a bit put off to come to yoga classes because they're not as agile as women, and
so think
not as flexible.
Can't do that back bend, yes. And I can't do back bend either.
I don't know.
I did yoga for 2 years, so don't feel bad.
Well, it's like a perfect place for a man if he's looking for a wonderful woman. That would be a good place to start.
Yeah.
They go to they go to the gym. It's the same thing. You want to find somebody who's like-minded,
taking care of themselves, and
calm.
You could have singles yoga. Oh my gosh, I see this new business opening up.
No, it's really true, though, that sometimes these things do swing a little far on one side to the other. And, I think that men absolutely need yoga, and there's so many varieties that for someone who kind of wants to go for that gym workout, I mean, how do you express for people to do that? Like, what's the point of going, and how do you figure that out?
Figuring out which studio, which
yes.
school? Listen to your friends. Your friends know you. If they're doing yoga, they'll probably have a good recommendation. And I always say just read up about the different teachers, see what lineage they're from. What's their background, and then try it out.
Good idea.
Just test it out, right?
So there's a screening of Yoga Woman. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes, we're having a screening at the Native Sons Hall in St. Helena, and that's Saturday night, November the 19th, and that's 7 p.m. And we'll have the screening, and then I'll be there after the film to talk with people about the making of the film. The film is, we go to Africa to look at the yoga program that's happening in Nairobi. We follow Sharon Ufberg, who does Off the Mats into the World, which is an altruistic program. She goes to Uganda. We're in India. We're in all different countries around the world.
Beautiful film. If people want more information about the film or about Saraswati Clere, they can go to her website, which is www.yogakula.com, YOGAKULA, yogakula.com.
Kula, Kula. Okay, that's what I was.
And thank you so much for being with us today, Saraswati. Best of luck for your dynamite film. Go see it.
Well, I have a special treat for our listeners. We want to thank Napa Massage for sponsoring Wednesday Wellness Wake Up, and thank you, Dr. Sharon, too. And you can go to napamassage.com to get more information about them. But we have a pair of tickets to give away for the screening, Native Sons Hall in St. Helena, Saturday, November 19th for Yoga Woman. Give me a call, 257-VINE, 257-8463, or 255-5866.